What's up, everybody? Welcome back to My Desert Dreams Homestead here, where we're building our dream house and homestead, but we were just getting started. In fact, there's not even a home yet on this homestead, and that's going to be the topic of today's video, if you guys couldn't tell from the title. So I'm going to get to that in just a moment, where me and my family are potentially exploring a different temporary option. But first, let me take 2 or 3 minutes to give you a quick update on what we did accomplish last week and this week. Let me first start with this week because, well, we didn't accomplish anything. It's been a rough week. You know some of it if you've seen and watched my community page. We got snow again, and so we weren't able to work to kind of ramble down the week here. Monday, I did not work as I was getting some repairs done and replaced the ball joints on my truck. Huge thanks to my friends there in Safford and Solomon that helped me out with that. Sean, everybody there that was helping. Chris, you're always a big help. Steven, your place is awesome and a lot of fun, so thanks for letting us do that. But now that was done, Tuesday we were planning to get back to work, but of course that was Valentine's Day, and so I took the day to do a little bit of a project and make some Valentine's gifts for all my family, which they really appreciated. So it was a lot of fun, these cool little exploding candy boxes that I guess people probably seen on Facebook. I'm just not on Facebook, so it was a really neat idea to me. And then on Wednesday is when the snow hit. And so that was yesterday. We couldn't come out here. We had a couple inches at our house and we're a couple hours away from the property. And so, traveling the mountain passes to get here and assuming that there was much worse snow on our land since it's higher elevation, we just didn't even make the trip out, called the kids in the school and just didn't make it. So today we finally got out here and we're kind of just doing some cleanup. If you followed last weekend, we camped out here for some specific reasons and got some stuff done. But nothing really this week. So this morning I've just been cleaning up, and then there's some school activities that I have to run to. So we're not really going to get much work done today either. So this week, not a lot done. But back here at the pump house, let me turn the camera. You can see, first of all, check out our mountains. We definitely got a lot more snow. The snow level is all the way down to about the bottom of what you can see, the top of the bushes there. And even here on our property, anything in the snow, there's no, or anything in the sun, there's no snow to see. But this table has been sitting here, and there's still snow piled up that's now turned to ice from the warmer days and then the colder nights. We have some snow in front of our door here, so I know that it definitely snowed out here. This place is a mess. We've just been so focused on building and stuff, I haven't cleaned up yet. But so you can see, we definitely got some snow out here, and it was probably a good thing we didn't come out. We probably wouldn't have been able to work. So solar panels, everything's all cleared. Anything the sun hits, it melts that snow away pretty instantly. But in here, this is an update, is I got the ceiling insulation done. So you can see I've now put in the R19 staple up. This is the faced wing insulation, meaning that here these sides have the paper wings that stick out that you actually staple it up to. So as you can see, I've got full containment. The roof overlaps the walls. The walls slightly overlap the roof, and there's no wood showing, since wood is actually a vapor bridge, or it doesn't hold any energy, so it doesn't keep warm. There's no insulating value of the wood. So it's nice that there's basically no wood showing except for right over here, that little tiny bit. That's it. But yeah, we've got this all insulated, and we camped out in here last Thursday, and it stayed incredibly warm considering the outside temperatures, I think, got down to near 20, maybe even colder. It was really cold. And we did just fine in here with just a tiny little space heater. You can see I still have a little bit of leakage there. I did go through and put spray foam under the wall because the concrete pad wasn't perfectly flat. Don't worry, I shorted that contractor his pay. So, well, I did it. So there you go. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a concrete guy. So it wasn't perfectly flat. We got some spots where water comes in. I'm probably going to do a little caulking on the outside, but I'm not too worried about it. It's a concrete floor, and this is the pump house, so there's going to get water in here. But we have actually put some of our equipment in place. So you can see here, we've got the 2 pressure pots here. That is our pressure pump. This is just my generator and some leftover insulation that's out here. That'll be going away. But back behind that is the doghouse where the water's going to come through, go into the tank that's sitting behind this wall, come back in. This is the pressure pump that will create the pressure of the water to like our house and actually provide us pressure. The pump down at the bottom of the well is only going to bring the water up into a storage tank for this pump to pull from. This pump will pump into these 2 pressure pots. And the way pressure pots work, for people who don't have wells or don't understand this, because you just have city water and your pressure just comes from the city, these pots essentially have like a bladder or like a balloon right in the middle. And as this pump here fills these up with water, that balloon will push against an air space. And air is compressible, water is not. So as that air compresses, that creates downward pressure on the water that's in the bottom of the tank. And so as this pump over here fills that up, that pressure will go up. And as we turn the faucets on in the house down a couple hundred feet, this bladder will be pushing down on that water to create that pressure. So the more of these you have, the more water you can be using before you're ever going to run out of pressure. And then when it does start to lose pressure, again, this pump will kick on, repressurize these tanks, which I don't know the specifics, so please don't quote me on these numbers, but these might hold a pressure of, let's say, 150 psi, and the house uses a pressure of, like, let's say 70 psi. And not only that, these are going to pressurize a 2-inch line, and the house is only going to use a 3/4 inch line. So you're able to bleed all that pressure and use all that water without your pumps having to kick on each time. So if you just get a glass of water, your pump will never kick on. But by the time you're done with a shower or two, these things might have lost enough pressure where that'll have to actually refill. So we'll never notice a pressure difference in the house, and that's what these are for. And then if we wanted to add multiple houses, that's the growth here. We have room to add at least 2, probably 3 more of these pressure pots. And I can line up as many of these as I want, and the same pump will just pressurize them all. It will just have to run longer to do so. So that's our future expansion and why we've done all of that. So this is what it looks like in here now. So this is where we're at. I'm going to be having my well guy come back out here soon to help go over the materials that I need to hook all this up and hopefully get water to the surface here within the next few weeks. So I'm super excited about that. But let me close the door here, switch the camera back. So I'm going to lock this up as we're about to head out of here for the day. But on my walk back over here, last week we did also get, oh, that sun is killer. I'm walking away from the sun, so that might be tough. Sorry. So last week we did get the electrical hooked up. I'm sure you guys have all seen the short there of me plugging in and whatnot. So that's awesome. We now have power on the property. We can run the air compressor. We can charge batteries, run saws and stuff, even though most of my tools are cordless. But I started realizing this whole process is taking a lot longer than expected. We moved here in September, and I had this grand dream that we would have our permits done by, December, and we'd start building, and my plan's about a year for building the house. So our goal has always been to be in for Christmas this year, which we don't even have permits yet. So Christmas this year is starting to look very, very unreasonable. Not going to happen. So we're starting to reevaluate our goals and our circumstance and our situation. So when moving down here, we have a rental house that we are renting. And the plan was to only have to rent it for 1 year, and we wanted to be living on the property. But we're already almost 6 months into that, and we haven't even started building. So we're coming to the understanding we're going to have to rent for an additional year before we're going to be able to move into our house. And that's just the facts of it. I mean, that's the timeline. We're still just waiting on the county. There was a holdup with the septic permit. We had submitted to have 1 septic system, and now they're saying we're going to have to break those into 2 different septic systems. And it has to be an additional permit, of course. They want to just get their money out of it is what it comes down to, I think. But that's okay. My septic guy's great. He's working with me. He quickly redid everything just this morning on only notice from yesterday to get it resubmitted with the county. So that's great. But again, knowing that we're going to have to rent for another year, and renting for a year is $15,000 to $20,000, just depending on what your rent is, for 12 months on a 1-year lease. I don't like renting. I see rent as really just a giant waste of money. You're paying somebody else's mortgage. And I understand in certain circumstances it's very helpful to people. But for me, I just don't like doing it. I feel like I'm wasting my money. I'm throwing it away. I'm essentially paying for somebody else's investment. So we started thinking, how can we take, let's say $15,000, maybe $20,000, and use it to give ourselves a home for a year on the property. Then we can start gardening, we can start raising chickens and some of our own, stuff while we're here and building every day. My biggest concern with doing that now is I'm just not on the property every single day, and I don't want to not be taking care of those things. So we started talking about, a trailer. My parents are living in a 5th wheel right now. Me and my wife talked about that at the beginning, and we decided we just didn't want to do that. It was too small and not enough room, and just not something that we wanted to do. Plus, we're not so sure we want the trailer afterwards. We've done some camping in our time, but it's always, been tent camping or backpacking. That's what we like to do. So we're just not so sure the trailer is going to be valuable to us after the fact. But we thought about a yurt, as you've seen from the title, and some yurts are pretty cool, actually. And my biggest concern with the yurt would again be space, and efficiency. How do I heat that thing when it's this cold out right now? And how do I keep that thing cool when it's 100 degrees out or 80 degrees every day? So luckily we're nowhere near Phoenix. It's not going to hit 115 and 120. We don't deal with those things, but we will see several 100-degree days here. And those days are hot. You want air conditioning, and a yurt is kind of more just a canvas tent. But I went online and I started researching them, and there's some brand new yurts, and you can buy different insulation packages. And you're looking at a range of anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 for about a 30-foot round yurt, which would probably work for us. I mean, it might be a little bit small, but it is still more square footage than a trailer. We can have running water in a bathroom and everything. We've already got running water and power here. The only thing I need is the septic. And could be the first thing we focus on. I have until July to really make this happen. And so that's what we're going to start investigating. And I was wondering, do any of you guys live in a yurt right now? Or have you ever lived in a yurt? Have you considered living in a yurt? Help me out with some pros and cons to this. Leave some comments below and tell me, would you ever stay in a yurt? Do you think I'm crazy? I just figure if I'm going to spend that much money in rent, I might as well spend that on an investment of owning something, even if it's just a yurt on my property. And then my thought is we can live in it for the year and not pay that rent. We'd also have less bills because we'd be out here. I wouldn't have a water bill. I've already put in the water. I'm going to have a power bill out here anyways, so that's not too much of a difference. I'd have a power bill at my rental. But, we have a septic system here. So we're not paying septic. We're not paying water. We'll have to figure out trash. We're out of the city. But these are all things that we were going to have to figure out anyways. It really doesn't change my circumstance. And it's money that I'm going to have to spend anyways. But my thought is, after the year, when we move into the house, maybe we could rent the yurt out and start making some money with it. And we've already kind of had the ideas that it would be neat to have a small rental cabin or room right here where we can offer a homestead experience. I see a lot of other homesteaders that would do these workshops to teach people how to do stuff. One day I might feel professionalized enough to do those things, but right now I'm still learning these things. I don't think I'm in a position to teach people how to do certain things. However, I can give you the opportunity to come see it and come live the life, let's say for a weekend or a week, and stay in a yurt and decide if you like the look of things, or maybe you just want to stay in a yurt, just the experience. We're really close to the Chiricahua National Monument. There's camping up on the mountains. We see cars going by all the time, recreational vehicles. So we know there's definitely recreation out here. And just offering a little bed and breakfast stay, that's one yurt. I'm not going to have a bunch of things. We can actually turn it into an investment and maybe be able to get our money back that we spent on the yurt over the next 5 years or something. And then I wouldn't have just thrown that money away on rent. So I guess I got to convince my family of this. My wife seems curious about it, but my son, it'd just be like camping every day. He'd love it. The teenage daughter is going to be a fight, though. That's one that I don't know that she's going to want it very much, but I think it's just a better move, and at the end, it'll be better for everybody. So those are kind of our thoughts, but let me know what you think about that. Do you think that's a crazy idea? Would you ever move into a yurt when you knew it was temporary for just 1 year to save that money that you're spending on somebody else's investment? And I'm going to flip the camera and give you some ideas of this that I've thought about. So here, if you're familiar with the layout of my land, this is where the water, one of the water outlets from our well. So back there is the well and the pump house I just walked up from. There's a ditch that runs the water line to here, and eventually this water line ditch is going to continue from this spot all the way over that way, and you can see where our power is at right there. And that's where the utilities are going to go into the house. So eventually I'm going to dig a ditch this way for that water line after the foundation is poured. And in that same ditch, I can probably bring some power from my pole there back this way. I've already got a 50 amp breaker there on the temporary pole that could possibly, let me zoom this out, run my yurt, which could sit right here. And if you've watched my first video that shows all the layout of where everything's at, so the gate is back over this way, and you come down our driveway, and this whole area right here where you see the trees and the snag piles, this is where I want to run chickens, and that's also going to be our septic drain field. And then the driveway continues around here. You can see our cars where we would drive in and come around this way, which would place us right in front of the house, which is here. Sorry, it focuses on my hand. So that's the plan. And then of course the driveway continues around and back out that way. And then this whole middle area is the chickens and small pasture for free ranging my eggs and tractoring my meat birds. And again, we could start doing this stuff sooner. I wouldn't have to wait for the house to be built already. So this is kind of what we're thinking about. And I'm very curious as to what you guys think about that. Have you ever considered living in a yurt? Have you ever considered, have you thought about the idea of homesteading? And, it's just hard to understand what that might look like. Or have you ever wanted to go see what those chores look like every day and what they have to do? I know that there's places that offer these experiences and they charge a premium for them, I believe. And so if I could offer something like that and then start making money with the yurt, it would turn into an investment, and the money that I would spend on rent over the next year, instead of just being an expense that I'd never get that money back, it would actually eventually come back to me, and I could potentially make a lot of extra revenue going forward to help us stay off grid and not have to go into town to find jobs. My wife works from home, and the goal is for me to find work or create a business after the house is built. So this is just another idea that I have, and I'm curious what you guys think about it. Would you ever consider it? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think it's a good idea? Would you come stay at a place and stay in a yurt? Would you rent a yurt? I know some state parks rent them out. I think it's a decent idea. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Tell me I'm crazy if I'm crazy, or tell me that you've done it before and I'm crazy. It was a terrible living situation for you. Or tell me you've done it before, you still have the thing, you live in it every day, and you love it. You couldn't imagine anything else. I'm curious. So let me know, guys, and come check in next week. Hopefully there'll be more to show. Have a great weekend, y'all. Thanks.